Hello everyone, this is FinEcon and I am the Asrorbek Utanov. Today is episode number 7 and today we also have the guest from Poland, Asrorbek Utanov, who's currently securities and derivatives settlements specialist at Citibank, which is, I can really say for sure, one of the largest banks in the world. And based on my research, the bank manages total assets of $1.7 trillion, and it operates in more than 160 countries. And so we can say it's one of the largest banks in the world. And there are really few people, especially from Central Asia and specifically from Uzbekistan, who made their way to this bank. And so today we talk about basically career path and motivation and also skill building and hiring process in general. In the end, we're going to end with some of the topic related to life in Poland, maybe for a bit. And for those who cannot listen live, we will record this so that you can listen. So anyways, let's start. Assalamu alaikum, Asrorbek. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. Hello everybody. Thanks, Asrorbek, for inviting me for this project. When you invited me, when you wrote me through LinkedIn, I was really happy to have such projects in Uzbekistan as well. Right? We used to listen a lot of podcasts or a lot of talks about finance or about living abroad in other countries, but such contents in Uzbekistan are really rarely, right? So I was really happy to share my experience or my knowledge for the youth of Uzbekistan if they will be beneficial for them, for their growth or for their future plans. So yeah, happy to see all of you here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate your time, and I know that it's really valuable. And yeah, basically that's the reason we launched this project, because I couldn't, especially myself, find any projects like this where you can listen to experts working at the largest banks, especially maybe they may have similar background that other people have in Central Asia, so that they're just trying to actually build the bridge between people like you and the use of Uzbekistan and also Central Asia for now. So first question I have, can you please walk us through how you went from graduating in Tashkent to joining Citi Bank in Poland? I mean, you can just start talking briefly and we can get into details later on. Thank you.
Sure, Asrorbek. So if I start from introduction about my early life, I was born in 1996, so I'm almost 30 years old. I was born, of course, in Uzbekistan, and I graduated Tashkent Institute of Finance as my bachelor's degree in 2020. And during my studies, I also won a scholarship to spend my one semester in Romania, in Bucharest. And those times when I was abroad or when I was studying at the university, I had a dream of working for the government of Uzbekistan. Especially my the highest priority was Ministry of Finance. And I was a bit lucky at the end of third year of my bachelor's degree, and I could go to Ministry of Finance as an intern. And after a month period, I could apply for the job there, not as intern but officially, and then my like official career started from Ministry of Finance, and I was an assistant to the deputy minister, and at the same time I was also working for debt management office of Ministry of Finance. So I spent my almost 3.5 years in Ministry of Finance, but during these 3.5 years, I had a dream of working in international atmosphere, like well-known banks like Citi, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and so others, right? And all these three banks are, as you started of the podcast, are top 10 banks in the world. And so I had a dream of feeling such a like international atmosphere. And then we decided to move with my family to Poland to pursue my master's degree. Why Poland? Because Poland is much affordable when it comes to the costs of living, and when it comes to tuition fee, it's also one of the best in Europe. And the main thing of Poland is here unemployment rate is so low, and the labor market is so open to all foreigners as well. What I mean, here, if you do not know, if you do not speak local language, which is here Polish, it's not mandatory to have it. So even like finance knowledge, and even uh, only English, that's enough to apply for the jobs here, because here all the jobs are in like in international environment, which is in English. That's why it was not. That's why it was not like hard. And yeah, so I came to Poland, and like from the very first days of living in Poland, I started applying for the jobs in Poland, and it's a long story to be honest, because I remember those days that I applied for almost 300 jobs, but I only received an answer for like about 10, 15 of them, which were, and let's say if I received 10 of answers from there, then almost 7 of them were rejections, right? I was in panic, I was in shock. However, I didn't give up, but I continued to make some research and applying for the jobs. And then it was good that I could apply for the Citi. Only in Citi I could apply for over 50 jobs, right? 50 different jobs. Here, no, in Uzbekistan, if you study finance or economics, then we say that we can work in all like fields, right? In maybe tax or in accounting, in securities, um, and so on. But here it's so hard if you didn't work in your specific role. For example, if you are applying for tax role, then you should have experience in tax. If you are applying for accountant, then you should be accountant, or you should have some certificates, right? So it was not easy to apply here, but yeah, then I received an offer by Citibank by two different teams. This my current team, which is securities and derivative settlements, and second one was product controller in finance. So then, yeah, after several checkups, after several processes, it's also long story. Even when you are like offered to the job, then it's again another long story starts, and after several months, you will start your official working. Yeah, that's my short story of like coming to Citibank.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and especially the thing about Poland that you mentioned early on, which is that local language is not a requirement, and that's kind of different here in South Korea because you really have to be fluent in the local language if you want to find any jobs, not only in finance, but finance, yeah, it really requires, and also applying to 300 jobs is also, uh, I believe that would really take a long time, I guess, like 300 jobs. But before we dive into application process, and I want to ask more, first of all, let me mention, if anyone wants to ask question from the guest speaker, we will let you in the end. At the end of the interview, you can ask, and I will ask if anyone has any questions. And so, Asrorbek, I have one question just regarding your interest. Why did you decide to specialize in capital markets and fixed income at the start of your career? I mean, why not as a part of the finance, and why exactly you decide to specialize in this part of the finance?
Interesting question. As I told in my bachelor's, I did finance and economics together. So I studied over 60 different subjects in my 4 years of bachelor's, right? So I really tried to work in other like fields as well. For example, in tax, in accounting, in treasury, in procurement, or in others. But I couldn't see myself in these fields. Why? Because like I accepted these fields for me as a just normal, like how to say, as a just operational fields. I mean, you never invest here. You never like make a like trampoline here. But those times when I like choose securities, everybody was interested in stocks or bonds, right? And those times, Uzbekistan in first time entered to capital markets in international level. So in 2019, Uzbekistan issued the first ever euro bonds in London Stock Exchange. So it also was one of my like biggest reasons why I like came to securities. And another reason was my teacher was my tutor in my life in Ministry of Finance. He also was specialized for capital markets, and I learned a lot from him. So that's why I'm in capital markets.
Yeah, and I heard that story of uh, issuing the euro bonds in London for the first time. I think that was one podcast, but I cannot remember the name. But that's also an interesting story and really great milestone for the capital market of Uzbekistan. And based on your resume and your profile on LinkedIn, I noticed that, and also you mentioned early on during your speech when you were introducing yourself, you worked in actually at the Minister of Finance of Republic of Uzbekistan, and you said that you dreamt of working there. Can you please, before we dive into working in large banks like Citi, can you please talk about how to get into like such kind of public sector, or it can be Minister of Finance or other can be departments in Uzbekistan. I mean, just government sector. How the application process looks like, and is it really worth it to work such places? Because I heard some negative feedback, like bureaucracy and other stuff. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the question. Actually, it's really worth to work in ministerial level. Why? Firstly, your networking level will be really high, and it's really good school for learning from the up, not from the down, right? So application process for applying for ministries, such as, let's say, Ministry of Finance, is not easy. Yeah. So if there is a student who is studying bachelor's degree, I would recommend him to do his internship at Ministry of Finance, for example. Why? Because it's a very easy step to get employed by ministry. Or if you are already experienced, then through your networking people, then you can apply for those jobs. As you told, it's not easy. Yeah, there can be some bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is everywhere, not only in Uzbekistan, in Poland, in Korea, in US, in Europe, right? So, and Uzbekistan is also not an exception. And as I told, not easy process of being hired by the ministry. However, if you are hired, then everything, you can count that everything is in your hands. So the best school, the best teachers, because always the best people are in ministries. So I would definitely recommend to go to ministries.
Yeah, thank you. And also, I can confirm that bureaucracy exists in every part of the world, especially in Korea too. And now we can maybe talk about skill building and specifically related to applying to bank. I mean, the Citibank. So my question, the first question is about must-have skills. So what are the technical skills? It can be financial modeling, it can be Bloomberg, and also soft skills that we can say non-negotiable that you must have when you want to apply to Citi. Do you have any skills that are, we can say, mandatory?
Definitely, they are mandatory. So if we start from technicals, if you have any certificate which is known international, then it's very good surplus. So if we talk about banks, knowledge in Bloomberg is very good surplus. If we talk about soft skills, firstly, I would recommend not to be selfish. You should be team player. So during the interviews, you are asked about the questions. How do you react in such a case, right? I mean, they give you a case and ask, how do you react? So they will know your reaction for the case, how you will go out from the case. So and secondly, you should be a person who can always negotiate, who can always speak up. Here at Citi, there is such a slogan, speak up. What does it mean? So if you see something is going on wrongly, you should speak up. You should raise your hand and ask something, and even you can talk with the very seniors, and you should speak up. If you don't feel yourself comfortable when you are working, and then they will never hire you. Yeah, some people say that you need to have really good experience to work in such international banks. However, there are also junior works, right? At junior level, you are not required to have such certificates, but you should have those soft skills. And of course, different countries have different rules. For example, in Poland, in order to work officially here, then you should have student status or graduation diploma. What does it mean? If somebody has recently graduated a university in Uzbekistan and he wants to apply for for a job in US, in UK, or in Poland, then the recruiter never hires him because the graduator does not have a work permit for those countries. This means in order to work in international banks or in international companies or in any company that's based in like foreign country, then that person should have a work permit. You can get that work permit by only like being a student or by being like very qualified candidate. That means that you should be such an exception to get such a qualification. If your company is willing to get, let's say, $1 million by you in just 3 months, then yeah, they may hire you. But it's so much rare. I have never heard such a case about Uzbeks in Poland at Citibank.
Yeah, that's understandable. And a work permit. That means then, if you're based in another country, you cannot apply directly to Poland or other part of Europe too.
Applying for the jobs is not forbidden. It's not restricted, but you will never be hired because
Yeah, that makes sense.
because you are lacking of work permit.
Then that would be case with every country, especially when you want to apply to USA or Canada. They always ask if you have a permit, but still they let you apply, and you will never
Exactly.
hear back.
Yeah. In application form, at the end they ask, do you
Yeah,
have a work permit in the country you are applying for a job in, right? Why they ask? When they filter the candidates, if you answer their no, then they will just delete your candidates. So I wouldn't say that it's like 100% obligatory, but I would say that it's must.
yeah. Thank you, and I have some of the questions related to like hiring process of Citi. For example, how did you approach like applications in general, and maybe to networking to get notified by or to get maybe notified by Citi's Warsaw office? Because I know for sure maybe they receive like hundreds of applications, and it's I see still hard to get notified by them. How do you approach?
You're right. For one position, recruiter may have at least 100 candidates. So in the very first step, it's a recruiter who selects the candidates, right? And let's start from very beginning, right? From applying step. For applying a job for the international companies, the best source is LinkedIn. And second source is their own website. If you are willing to apply for a job at Citibank, you have these two options, right? And but I would really recommend you to have your LinkedIn and to apply through LinkedIn. Why? Because those recruiters may also check, not they will do, but they also may check your LinkedIn profile, how you are active there, how you are like posting, what are you busy with. So then once you apply for the job, then as I told, at first step the recruiter checks you. Then in the next step, the hiring manager checks you, right? Interviews you, and then the manager's manager will like interview you. So after having 3-4 interviews, then you will be hired. It's not easy steps. Even after these 3 or 4 interviews, when you are hired, then it takes another 2-3 months to start your job, as I told earlier. Why? Once you are hired, then they will send you an offer letter. Then you will have some time to think on it, let's say 5 days or 10 days. Once you accept it, then they will start background checking process. What does it mean? So before applying for the job, let's say during applying for the job, you uploaded your CV, right? But you may write there that you graduated Harvard, you graduated Oxford. This Oxford or Harvard definitely attracts those people, attracts those recruiter or those hiring manager. But who checked it? So there is such a process, background checking. At background checking, uh, the team who is responsible for background checking will check every detail that you wrote to your CV. This means that if you wrote that I studied my master's degree at Oxford, then they will call to Oxford directly, or they will send an email to Oxford to confirm these details. If you wrote, let's say, 10 different things in your CV and there is one false info, then you will not hire it. So your CV should always be correct, right? So in total, this background checking takes about a month period. Once you pass this background checking, then they will send an offer for you to have a medical checking. In medical checking, there are 3-4 steps for like processing. Then if you are eligible to work 8 hours in front of computer, then medicians will give you like okay to work at Citibank. Then it takes another, let's say, 15-20 days to start your work. Yeah, it may sound you a bit like long story, but this all are like sweet periods, let's say. So what I would tell to youths who are willing to build their career or build their like educational milestones currently, I would recommend them to have really good CV, really good experience, because or to have really good portfolio. Once you apply for the jobs at international level, then, as I told, it's a really long story. The periods that I told, like 1 month, 20 days, 15 days, is just minimum number of days, right? A lot of people may spend 9 to 12 months. Even there are people who are still looking for a job for 2-3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it does sound very long journey, but you mentioned early on, you said really sweet journey, and applying to such banks, especially like Citi, one of the largest we can say in the world. And do we have any way of standing out, like among 100 200 resumes or applications, or is it just only building the resume well? What do you think?
I would say that if your CV suits to the job, then definitely you will be called for the interview. What I mean, if you apply for a job in tax, but you are capital market specialist, then the recruiter will just cancel you. In order to be like the best among those 100 people, then you should write some numbers in your CV. I mean, if you just write, if you just write the words in your CV, it's not enough. I mean, you should write in your CV that you did, for example, you may write that I have helped to this company to issue their such an amount, for example, 1 billion of euro bonds amount of euro bonds in London Stock Exchange, right? This is big surplus. And in order to be the best candidate among those 100, then you should find your best suitable vacancy. It's not easy. For example, why I'm working at Citi, not in GP, not at Goldman Sachs? Because in Poland, there is no such a department that works with securities in JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. That's the reason why I'm at Citi, right? I may move to JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs to totally different direction. Let's say to fund accounting, which is a bit far away from my direction.
Yeah, thank you. That means we need to really be careful with our resume and or CV and work on it. And we need to apply to the job that really suits our skills so that we can at least get to the interview process. And regarding to the interview, I mean, what type of like maybe technical test or case studies, or it can be behavioral questions that you face it during the interview? And can you share how to prepare for such interviews? That would be really useful.
Okay, so you may have all those questions that you have just mentioned, right? Behavioral, technical, or even theoretical. So even they may ask and they may give you some case studies. And for example, I faced a case that case was like this. So investor came to the bank and asked, and she told that she has 20 million euros and she wants to invest, but you not set a problem, a mistake in her like in her form. How do you react? Do you like react like, do you just cancel her application, or do you react that you would talk with somebody else? How would you like answer to this question? The best answer to this question, I would say that you need to tell that you would discuss with the manager, right? Because the interview is being taken by the manager. So you need to say all sweet words that may like your manager. As I told, you should not be selfish. You should not be much independent. Yeah, you should be independent, but not much. And you also may be asked technical questions like Bloomberg, because if you have already written that you know Bloomberg, then they will definitely ask Bloomberg. So never write the skills that you do not know in your CV. So and there are a lot of like websites that may guide you how to prepare for the interview. For example, if you are applying for a capital markets job at Citi, just Google it. Just Google that what kind of questions I may be asked, or just write it in ChatGPT. They will definitely like show you correct direction. And yeah, definitely they will start from theory, but at the end they will not only check your theoretical knowledge, but they also will check your how human you are. So it's not only enough to have really good knowledge in finance, but you also should be really good person. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your tips and recommendations. And since our time is limited, let's move on to the last part of the conversation, which is about maybe we can say life in Poland. And so my question is, can you share how you managed the visa process in Poland and also cultural transition from Uzbekistan to Poland? And regarding visa process, I heard that in many countries, and especially also from my experience in South Korea and my friends from USA, they told me it's really getting harder and harder to get hired as an international student, especially when you don't have like huge advantage over local people, because visa process is not that easy in many countries. So can you share how it looks and how the process goes and your transition to Poland life in general? Thank you.
Sure. As you told, visa process in Europe, in Poland, is really tough, especially in Poland. In the last 2-3 years, a lot of uh, non-official immigrants, refugees, got visas to Europe through Poland. That's why there is currently going on very huge scandal in the country. Like Ministry of Foreign Affairs is blaming like consulates, and consulates are blaming to some other people. So visa process is getting hard and hard. However, when I came here, when I applied for visa, I applied for the one of the best finance and economy universities, which is called Warsaw School of Economics, and it's #1 in the country in terms of finance, right? And I already paid the fee for 1 year, and that was the main reason of getting the visa. Yeah, a lot of people was getting like rejections for the visa. However, if you can show that you are really going on to study, and if you can show that you will not break the rules, you will not like make like circumstances in the country, then yeah, in consulates there are also people, not the killers or not the like bad people, right? So they also understand you. That's why they have opened their consulate office. So their main mission is also giving a visa for the local people. And if we move on to the second question, transition from Uzbekistan to Poland, it was not hard, to be honest, because as I told, I did 1 semester in Romania, and Romania really looks like to Poland. Yeah, I had a cultural shock in Romania, but when I moved to Poland, it was not hard. Firstly, as I already have an experience in Romania. Secondly, I was with my family, with my wife and with my daughter. That was the main case of like good adaptation here. However, here once a student comes, they will like see how people are making money here, which is easier than Uzbekistan, and they will give up and they will just terminate their contract with the universities, and they will go to delivery, right? Or they will start working in kebab houses. However, currently the immigration process is much getting hard and hard, as I told, and there are a lot of police like officers who are checking the documents. If that student is already like was already terminated by the university, he will just deported from the country. So firstly, your goal should be here is to study. if you came here for studying, yeah, just study. And if you can manage, then you also can work. But your main goal should be study. Yeah, just briefly.
Yeah, thank you. Sharing the process of with the process, and especially the last part is really interesting about like people abroad. The same thing happening in South Korea, especially my peers and other students. Uh, like you mentioned, when they see how much money they can make and how large it can be if compared to the money they make in the home country or hometown, they forget their purpose, which is studying, and they just go to work every day, which might be true for their maybe life circumstances, but yeah, I would also suggest studying, which could be much better in the long run. And let me ask my last question before maybe I may let some other people ask questions, one or two. If you could give maybe one piece of advice to someone who's in Uzbekistan, maybe studying at university now, and they are about to start their finance career, what would that be?
Okay, so I always say that an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. It's a proverb of Benjamin Franklin. It means the investment is the best. The investment for the knowledge is the best investment. So during your bachelor's, try and try, only study and study, and at the same time also like collect some experience from your teachers, from your tutors, and do not only like lay down on your bed. Make some research how and compare that what people are doing at your age in other countries. Just have a look to Australia, just have a look to US or UK, just have a look that person at age 20 are already making millions. So only one piece of diploma of your bachelor's is not enough to build your whole life. If you want to have a beautiful life, then you should have not only that one piece of diploma, but you should have really good experience, really good networking, really good attitude to the life. You should be open to everybody. You should never give up, and you always need to respect everybody, because respectiveness shows who you are. Yeah, that's like short my advice is for the us.
Thank you, Asrorbek. Yeah, that's really great advice, especially focusing on the education, which pays the highest interest. And does anyone have any questions to the speaker? If anyone has, please raise your hand. I don't think anyone has. Maybe everything is clear. So, Asrorbek, thank you for your time. We, people of Uzbekistan and youth from Uzbekistan, really appreciate your time. And we really hope that people like you maybe will be 10 times, 100 times more in the future coming from such use that you have talked for the past 44 minutes. Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Thanks for the invitation as well. At the end of the conversation, I would say that if somebody will have any like question about working or living abroad or working in an international atmosphere, just feel free to find me in LinkedIn and just chat me. I will try to do my best to show you the best like way to find or to live, to adapt for foreign atmosphere. So feel free. I'm open to everybody.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Bye bye. Thank you for listening us.
Bye.
Talk to you next time.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.